that for excitement.
This is September 1980. Galway have just won the All-Ireland Senior Hurling title for the first time in 57 years. It's only their second All-Ireland title ever.
It's been a long time coming, but there it is for Galway.
People of Galway, we love you!
In 1987 and 1988, Galway were All-Ireland champions again. They seemed destined to dominate the All-Ireland Championships. It hasn't happened. By next September, it will be 23 years since Galway won the Senior All-Ireland. The question is, why haven't they? The Galway team of the 1980s that won 3 All-Irelands was managed and coached by Cyril Farrell. 23 years later, he still loves being involved.
All right, Lambert, don't worry about that clip, Lambert. Come again. Stephen Lambert, come again. Don't worry about that bit. We're all right. Come again.
His passion for the game unquenchable.
I remember 1980, Marty. We hadn't won one for 57 years. And when you win one, everyone thinks, it's very easy to do it. It's not that easy to do it. The problem in Galway, that is the thing, Marty, is underage, when they win a minor under 21, they think they've everything won. I'd be trying to say to them, listen, a minor and under 21 is just a stepping stone. It's only the start of your career, not the end. A lot of them seem to think that they're stars already without winning the big one.
It's hard to blame the young hurlers thinking they are stars. Galway's underage record since 1980 is phenomenal. In that 30-year period, 8 minor All-Ireland titles have been won. If that doesn't catch your eye, the Galway hurling CV is equally impressive at under 21 level, winning 7 All-Ireland titles in the same time period. Brendan Linsky played a crucial role for Galway in their 3 All-Ireland successes in the 1980s. He epitomised their spirit. Despite all the underage successes, he is critical that a senior All-Ireland hasn't been won since he was playing.
Well, of course I'm angry, I'm passionate about Galway hurling and always have been. And it hurts me, to see, to think that we could be in there competing with the best. And we have done it at minor and we have done it under 21. So you'd be wondering, what is wrong at senior? The players have to have a hard look at themselves in the mirror. Some of the players haven't, maybe all of the players haven't, and really, really are they passionate and proud to be putting on a maroon and white jersey, because are they prepared to go through the pain barrier if that's what it takes for Galway to win an All-Ireland final?
You've done your rap already, have you? Rap has been done.
Ger Lugnan is principal of St Aidan's National School in Shannon. For 2 years, he was the Galway manager.
Now, the skills you need for underage talent are not necessarily the ones you need for senior inter-county hurling. Now, we weren't long there until we realised the deficiencies there were in that skill level. And there were massive gaps, I was astounded by the gaps there were in that, And I remember going into the Galway County Board and explaining this to them and tell them that it would take time to overcome these deficiencies in their play. But, they just didn't listen. They didn't want to hear. All they wanted to hear was about winning the All-Ireland. But you don't win an All-Ireland until you rectify those faults. And Galway people hate to be pointed out to them that they lack that little cutting edge, that little bit of nastiness and toughness that's needed in order to make it really to the top and to stay at the top. And, I suppose it's understandable in a way, Marty, because if you look back to the last team that was successful and you look at the quality and the character of player that you had there, these were tough men. They were great hurlers, but they were really tough, both physically and mentally tough men. And the modern generation doesn't have the same quality or the same number of players like that.
On scratching the surface of the Galway senior hurling team, one finds one factor that really has annoyed people. Since 1991, when Cyril Farrell retired from that great management run of 3 All-Ireland successes, there have been an incredible 8 management teams in charge of the Galway team. It has annoyed quite a few. Before the appointment of John McIntyre in 2009, 6 men had been given the job as manager. Each individual had massive reputations in the game. Each were dispensed with rather quickly. Take Noel Lane.
Towards Noel Lane it comes, battling with Conor O'Donovan. Lane, a goal!
A hero from the 1980s, he guided Galway to the All-Ireland final of 2001 and the quarter-final of 0-2. He wasn't asked back.
I was surprised and angry, Marty, at the time because I felt we were making significant progress. We got to the All-Ireland final in 2001. We beat Cork in 2002 in the quarter-final. We went on and Clare pipped us. And I felt had we stayed on for another couple of years, we would have really crossed the line and won an All-Ireland.
So do you feel you got a raw deal from the county board?
Well, you see, Galway Hurling doesn't do patience, Marty, and if you don't have patience, you get turnover of managers, and if you get turnover of managers, you get a lack of continuity. And I think it's this lack of continuity. There's only one real loser in lack of continuity, and that's the players. And I feel that that's a serious matter in Galway Hurling over the past 20 years.
Dr. Michael Corcoran, a consultant urologist, is a former Galway team doctor. He also blames the constant changing of managers over the years as a reason for failing to win a senior All-Ireland.
We've hired and fired managers as well. Some of them after winning a league, some of them after being beaten in an All-Ireland quarter-final or semi-final by a point. While all of this has been going on, the people who appoint and dismiss these people seem to glide through without any change. And I think at county board levels, if you have aspirations to get to the top, you really need to have new blood and innovation on a regular basis.
But change has happened. The appointment of Kinvara's Joe Byrne as chairman of the Galway Hurling Board has brought that freshness and stability.
I don't believe changing managers every 2 or 3 years is good for the development of a team and the development of hurling within a county. And this year, for example, you know, we have given a great vote of confidence to our minor manager, Matt Murphy, our under-21 manager, Anthony Cunningham, and indeed our senior manager, John McIntyre, by offering them a further 2-year term, which then means that they will have spent at least 4 years working as a management.
Apart from the Liam McCarthy Cup, Galway can win almost everything. They won their 9th league title last year. So how important was it that John McIntyre stayed on for another term?
I think it's absolutely vital, Marty. I know we didn't win the All-Ireland last year, but we got to the quarter-final, we won the league title, we made progress and we pushed the All-Ireland champions all the way, I suppose. There's no settling down period. This year we were able to get straight back to work. We're familiar with the management and vice versa, which is not a bad thing. And we'll be looking to get a good start in the league again now.
Ollie Canning was a brilliant hurler, captaining his club Portumna to 2 All-Ireland club titles. Now retired, does he believe the hurling board were right to reappoint John McIntyre?
He's done good work so far with the Galway panel there, and I think he can get more out of that team. You know, I suppose one of the points that sticks in my head, I suppose, is there's lots of managers in the past maybe were asked to leave the job before their time. You know, I thought that there was managers I worked with had more to offer and had done quite well with Galway actually, and found themselves out in the cold at the end of the year.
From this report alone, it is quite clear that the Galway senior hurling manager's position brings with it huge responsibility. John McIntyre is sports editor with the Connacht Tribune and the Galway manager.
I would say Galway are not the complete package yet. And that's the challenge for both players and management, is to tidy up the areas that we're currently lacking a little bit in. Obviously, if Galway are still looking for the championship breakthrough after this year's campaign, we as a management team, first of all, even though we've been elected for another 2-year term, we will have to sit down and decide among ourselves, is it in the best interest of Galway hurling for us to stay involved? Everything we do this spring is geared to making sure that the 15 players we line out in the first round of the championship are the best guys at that particular time to represent the maroon and white of Galway. There is a realisation among Galway supporters that we are doing most things right, and that if with a few breaks along the way, that maybe 2011 could be the year when Galway end the championship family.
And that report by Marty Morrissey, of course. You're from a neighbouring hurling territory down there in Offaly to Galway, obviously. You're involved with the Portumna hurling. And here's a Galway team that knows how to win All-Irelands.
Yeah, you know, it's a big issue, I suppose, that they have won so much at underage. You have counties like Waterford, Limerick, who haven't won All-Ireland in a long time, Dublin, but I suppose because Galway have been so successful at underage, you reckon it's only a matter of time, but it doesn't work that way. I think there's a few things at work. You know, I think getting into Leinster is a big move for them. You know, I think in the next couple of years, I think that's going to be a big benefit. Like last year, they had 2 great matches with Offaly. They ran Tipperary very close, just a puck of a ball in it. So, and they're in a lot better position than a lot of counties. At least they have the players, but they have to get over the line, you know, and it will happen. But look, pre-1980, it was Kilkenny, Cork and Tip who dominated. Since 98, no county has won the All-Ireland outside of those 3 since Offaly won it in 98. So it's a problem for a lot of counties. And, you know, Galway are doing a lot of things right, as John McIntyre says there. There's no magic solution, but they have to, you know, maybe a bit of continuity with the management, leave them at it and see where they go. But, you know, it's not going to happen overnight.
One of the things that Gerald Nan touched on there, Tomas, in his comments about it, which is also something a lot of people say, is that Galway aren't tough enough, that they have nice hurlers, they have skillful hurlers, but there's a toughness missing there. But is it not a case that hurling has changed over those 25, 30 years, we'll say, since they won back in 1980 or through the 80s?
Yeah, I suppose, Michael, look, there's been a lot more emphasis put on the actual the fitness levels. You know, we have the dietitians and stuff like that as well. But yeah, look, he mentioned as well that there was a lack of skill when he went in there, and amazed him about the lack of skill. And I totally disagree with him on those comments, being honest with you. I don't think Galway ever lacked skill. I think they had more skill in abundance than a lot of other counties throughout the country. What I think they lacked is consistency actually in their team selection, particularly over the last number of years. They had very good minor teams, very good under-21 teams. When it came to senior grade, if you didn't make it in the first 12 months or the first 2 years, you were nearly discarded, and the new crop that had won the previous year were brought in at that stage. And there was no consistency in your team selection. What I like about John McIntyre at this stage is that he's got his new 2-year term, and he's now beginning to cement the key positions. The Tony O'Regan is at centre-back, maybe Shane Cavan is at full-back and stuff like that. And that's what you have to do. You've got to get consistency at your team. I mean, at the moment, Galway are the 3rd best team in the country as regards their hurling. So where does that leave everybody else?
In fairness, they were just about short of the mark with Tipperary last year in the championship, and we know that Tipperary went on to win the All-Ireland.
Don't worry, I think a crucial turning point. Ollie Kenny went off injured with a couple of minutes to go, and a couple of scores came down that channel, you know, and he has to be replaced this year, which is a huge thing. But just another one now, haven't been involved. It's not sour grapes because Portumna didn't win the championship, but I think club hurling in Galway, you know, it's very, very physical, and I think young players coming through, they're not being protected by the referees down there. I think, you know, some of the stuff you can nearly do what you like and not get sent off, as far as I could see down there last year, and that's very hard for good, young, skillful players to develop in that atmosphere.
All right, lads, thanks for that for the moment.